What's up? What's up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Big Cheds, a warm hello, and a sincere thank you. Thank you for hanging out and spending a little bit of time here with me today. It's last day of January 2025. Is it Friday? It's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. I hope everybody's doing well. I am, of course, Big Cheds on Twitter. I think that's where most of you probably know me from. Some of you only follow me on YouTube. This is part of the quick market update series on YouTube, where I essentially take 15, 20 minutes, and I try to look at the market. I try to add some value. I am a founding analyst, of course, at Bitcoin Live, where I do a twice a week full market report. So this is where I kind of look at the whole market, not just a few things. I take all your questions. But I love this format here on YouTube. If you're just getting started, you really need to go to my Masterclass tutorial playlist. I teach professional TA, Japanese candlestick theory, classical charting. Check that out. I've published 3 books. I actually have a 4th book coming soon, Trading Journal, essentially Trading Wisdom Part 2. But today we're going to, as always, I'll look at Bitcoin, I'll look at Ethereum, I'll look at Solana, and then I have some tweets to create discussion. I want to create educational content. I want to create value, and that's why I'm here. So if you can hear me, let me know you can hear my voice. Let me know where you're from, how you found the channel, and then fire off a good trading question. Not necessarily, hey, can you look at my favorite coin? Those are fine, but a good question you think maybe other people are struggling with. And I'm trying to add value. So we're doing this together. And of course, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you want to, chat, you just hit subscriber and you can join the chat. So what do we think about Bitcoin? I mean, Bitcoin is still incredibly strong. The weekly look is beautiful. It's priced above a rising 200. That's an uptrend in classical charting. It's holding primary uptrend support, EMA 8. EMA means exponential moving average. The most recent candle has more price weighting than the ones before it, and it's holding range lows. Right, when the price has dropped, bulls have stepped in to the demand zone and said no lower, and we've seen that expressed in the chart here, with the daily range low sweep and recapture continuation to the failed right shoulder. People spend a lot of time talking about a head and shoulder. I did a bunch of videos on why you really didn't need to label it. Just focus on levels. And that brings us to this right shoulder, which has been the throwback level after the price had the failed range breakdown, accelerated, broke the right shoulder, throwback, and another throwback here. And most recently, we had another spring, right? Another failed breakdown. Bull stepped in. So it's one of those things where, again, if you want to go long, you want to wait for an uptrend to dip. I mean, Bitcoin's absolutely an uptrend. That's very clear here in the daily as well, the rising MA200. I'll get to the chat in a second, folks. But it's given you so many really good opportunities to get long. I love it. So here was just get long in that recapture, get long in 96, get long in the 995 breakout, get long in the throwback, and then here get long in the sweep and recapture. So it's beautiful. Now we're kind of range trading between the failed right shoulder and overhead right around 107K, right? So Bitcoin is incredibly bullish. What do we think about Ethereum? Ethereum is testing. This is going to lead me to a tweet, a lesson I want to go over, and then we'll get to Solana, and then we'll do your questions. So what do we have Ethereum? I mean, it kind of sucks compared to Bitcoin. There's no question. That's still the case. A minor mean reversion here so far, bounced to the falling middle Bollinger on the daily, but it's still just been underperforming Bitcoin for a long time. On the daily chart, I've really been waiting for the price drop to 2,700, or really, I want to see more strength in 3,700 break. In the meantime, we have this descending supply trend, right? You say, oh, Cheds, it's a trend line. Let's go back. It's a trend line. It's actually not a line. There's no line. There's just a trend. So let's get to the tweet I wanted to discuss about this. I got a bunch of stuff. There's a great topic. Here we go. So Ethereum, descending supply trend, testing the descending supply trend on daily. Is there a reason you use the candle body instead of blah, blah? So this is the thing. You can get so tripped up. Oh, is it supposed to be like this? Is it like that? Or do I go here and then do it like that? Actually, they're all right. None of those matter. There's actually not a line. There's actually just a trend of price. The whole idea is a filter around the price. And you're showing a descending trend, which means descending means falling. Trend means the price is moving in a direction of falling supply. That means more aggressive sellers on the way down, right? And we know, of course, that you always wait for a two-level filter break. You have a lower high. You don't just go long on the descending supply trend. You wait for the lower high to break. That lesson, I've done that a million times. So you have kind of the first maybe indication of something happening, descending supply trend break, okay? We'll redraw it. Again, it doesn't exactly matter how I draw it. It's just generally just like that, the best fit line. I had 3,700 drawn for sure. I'm still going to redraw that, but you could use a lower high break, maybe right around here, and say, I'm going to use 3,500 Cheds. I'm going to use this as my two-level filter on Ethereum, and even though it's a flat trend on the daily, I'm going to go to the weekly chart, and I'm observing the rising trend in the weekly, the uptrend. So it's an uptrend, it's a dip and an uptrend, and this is a potential continuation signal. So you can mark it up that way if you want. It's a good lesson there on the descending supply trend. We'll take a look at Solana, and we'll get to the chat room. Again, thank you, everybody, for hanging out here with me as I drink my coffee. So Solana. So Solana recently had this W, right? A W is a double bottom where you have two troughs or two lows, and you have a peak. You have time interval in between the lows. You have price distance in between the low and the in between the trough and the peak. And this one was a double W with a lower low sweep, which is beautiful. You get the spring entry, or you can go long in the W break at the peak, and the throwback. And now it's just kind of channeling in between this level. It's going to be critical for short-term momentum to see 220 continue to hold, and you roughly have an overhead right around 265. I think you always want to kind of step back to the weekly when the daily's muddled and consolidating. Beautiful weekly trend. Daily chart still pretty good. It's still consolidating. Definitely bulls in charge here on Solana. So I got through all that. I get a bunch of tweets. I'll go to them, but that's only if you folks cannot deliver some good trading questions. I want to go right to the chat room. I want to hear from you. So let's start from the top. A bunch of Indy. What's up, Indy, brother? Cliff. Hey, nice to see you, man. Raymond, Danny Martwan. Simon, Caleb, and I see a lot of the same names, folks. Thank you for hanging out every time. And again, I'm not going to be able to read all the chat room messages, so if I miss your message, I apologize. I'll get back to it. I'll read it after the stream. And by the way, I will do another stream tomorrow, right around this time, maybe around 12. So let's see here. What everyone? Good morning, good evening. So this is cool. Someone says good morning. Someone says good evening. That's great. It's a worldwide thing. Pleasure to have you at our side, says Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. Mohammed, thank you from Qatar. Hey, what's up, brother? Qatar, Qatar says, I made bank on Ray and OM longs. And may the Almighty bless you. Well, may the Almighty bless you, Mohammed. Let's talk about Ray and OM. So Ray has been a relative strength player for sure. It's been one of the strongest charts. I know I have it here on my list somewhere. And it just had a very nice, clean throwback. So I put out a tweet on Ray. Here we go. And this is actually, I have a couple selections from my upcoming book, Trading Journal. So I put out this tweet on January 27th, and you can see where the price was. The price basically was right here. And I'm saying we have price throwing relative strength player, which means strong relative to the rest of the market. And it's a throwback, which is a bullish retest to November highs. What's a throwback? Well, a throwback is the idea you're buying a dip in an uptrend. It's a simple and effective trade idea. Once the price breaks a well-established level, it advances, then pauses, and returns to that breakout level, you strike. And that's kind of what we see here exactly to happen. Breakout, pause, strike. You're buying the dip in an uptrend at a well-defined level. So Ray, decent little bounce off support so far. That's a nice little play. And we talked about OM, and I put out this tweet where there was a 4-hour Bollinger pinch, right? There's a 4H Bollinger pinch, right? Bollinger's, by John Bollinger, give you often an indication when price is moving outside of a standard deviation or standard amount of volatility, right? Of course, you have the middle Bollinger Band, but here's the pinch. So in the daily, you were pinching, and we just started to break from that. What was interesting is we saw right here, and I talked about this in the Bitcoin Live video before the latest breakout, is we saw kind of a fractal of the daily pattern on the 4-hour. You see the 4-hour was pinching much in the way that the daily was pinching. And I put out the tweet. I'm like, hey, guys, you have a very clean-looking bullish pinch here. Price move, high and tight consolidation, and then boom. So, I mean, there's your 4-hour pinch. And then here's me saying, shaking your hand and saying, good job if you took it. So that's OM, and that's Ray. So, Mohammed, good eye in those. I'm glad you're playing strong charts. You really want to just play the strongest charts. I mean, sure, people play meme coins, whatever. I like stuff with strong price history. I like to make it easy on myself because it's so easy to screw things up. I just want to play strong chart. So, Ray and OM are up there. So ISOM, how relevant are wicks to you? They're very relevant. It just depends on the concept. Wicks are very important, especially in Japanese candlestick theory, right? And that really forms the crux of my training is classical charting and Japanese candlestick theory. You take this candle here, long leg doji, which means long upper and lower shadows, but it's a predominantly lower shadow featured candle or lower wick candle. That shows bulls stepped in and rejected lower prices. You can use wicks a lot. You look for groupings of wicks where you have, like a lot of upper wick shows that the bulls are trying to bounce and the price is rejected. You have to understand when and why you're using these things, right? When you're drawing a trend line, it doesn't, it's about the trend of price and not so much the wick or the body. You're just trying to get like a best fit. But wicks are important. For example, you're looking for like a tweezer top, or you're trying to spot out advanced, and you have a bunch of upper wicks, and you think we're going to kind of tower down. So stuff like that. It's very contextual. I really, really recommend you watch my masterclass. I go over all this. And I actually have a new masterclass coming this year. It's going to take a lot of time and preparation because those videos will last a few years, right? I try to make it really good. But wicks are important, but it's the context of where it comes. But generally, like wicks below the lower Bollinger in an uptrend is often pointing to opportunity, for example. So let's see. Great questions. I love these questions in the chat room. We got a great chat today. So someone asked me to look at hype. Daniel, there's no chart on hype. There's not enough price history. Anyone doing TA and that stuff is jumping the gun. You can't just look at, something that's new, and I'll pull it up and I'll show you what I mean, right? Whatever, KuCoin probably, and BitGet. Let's see, one of those has the longest history. Look at this. How can anyone, what chart? What are we talking about? There's no chart here. People are dropping to the 4-hour. There's really nothing. Because before this peak, it's just nothing. You can't look back. There is no price history. Doing TA on this, you are fooling yourself. There's nothing to TA. There's no trend. And I think people look to big accounts. Can you do TA on Trump coin and hype coin? There's no history. There's no edge. You need a trend because the whole point is you're looking for a movement against the trend and you want to ride the trend. You can't TA this. I can't do anything with this. There's nothing. There's no information, Daniel. I can't TA this. Pretty fresh chart. This whole point. There's no chart. Roland says, Cheds, in 2021, when you called the top, I got lucky. I got really lucky, by the way. What did the weekly MA trend look like? Yeah, so we can look at that. And again, you're asking me for this. I actually go over it in great detail in the masterclass tutorial, which is kind of why I want to do another masterclass, because I want to talk about the road from 12K to 100K BTC. When I called for that back here in April of 2022, and people called me crazy, and I said, we're going to do something like that, and we did it. I want to kind of walk through that whole process. But the weekly moving averages started to cross over. We did get the 834 bear cross. We have nothing like that here. Tried to bear cross, right, with 834, where bulls rallied. And then we got the bear cross. And really more important, and really notably, the price started to lose the weekly MA50, right, which is really critical at the time. And what for me kind of set the tone and confirmed for me the top was in, and why I put out that tweet, which was, I was right around here in April. It was like in the first week of April, where I said, we're basically going to 12K. We went to 15, which is pretty close. Was the failed breakout. And you can see it better expressed in the daily chart. And again, I go over this in super detail. A lot of people are like, hey, Cheds, can you make a video on this? Like, I've done it. It's there. Was the fact that we had this failed breakout and, failed recapture. Remember how important 46K was at the time, and I talked about it? And this up thrust, this failed breakout was like a mega warning sign that prices are going to roll over with the trend. So in terms of how I nailed the 2021 top, I mean, again, I got lucky. I got really lucky, but I started to see some activity in the rest of the market with altcoins, with Ethereum, and it just felt like a top. Maybe I'll get that again up here at some point. I don't see it yet. I don't see a top yet. I'd like to call it, but I'm not going to call it early. I know people are looking at me for wisdom based on my experience and my track record, but I'm not going to jump the gun. So that's a great question. Simon says, how useful is technical analysis when a major news event from a powerful individual causes significant impact? It's absolutely critical. That's the whole point. Technical analysis, it's not going to predict the news. It's not about that, but it tells you how to interpret the news. It tells you how to put in context the volatility you just had. And that's the whole point, right? It tells you what price levels to watch. Right, and where the bulls should step in, and just where to watch and how to deal with volatility. Right, that's why you have muscle memory. That's why you study these charts all the time. Is you don't want to get caught off guard, right, by volatility, by the market moves. So technical analysis doesn't predict the news, but it tells you how to process it. So many great questions in the chat. Brian says, finally caught your stream. Hey, Big Cheds, what's up, Brian? Let's see. So many great questions. What to answer? Captain says, in your book, Trading Wisdom, it's available on Amazon, by the way, folks, but I have the first third of the book for free. 18 lessons. Watch that here. 18 of the 50 are free. Check that out. He says, when it is the strong bull bear fight and we follow that, right now the volume on Bitcoin is not heavy. That's a sign of continuation. Yeah, that's the whole point. And I've lectured on this a million times. When the price is how do we know the price is trending, first of all? We'll look at that line. What is that line, right? Chat, what is that line? It's a 200 moving average. That's the trend in classical charting. Price above 200 is an uptrend. When the price is already trending, there's an imbalance in supply and demand. What does that mean? There's more buyers than sellers. They're pushing the price up. Okay, just like we talked about Ethereum, we just a minute ago talked about the descending supply trend, a trend of descending supply. Okay, here you have a bull trend. You don't need volume to continue a trend because you already have an imbalance in supply and demand. You most often get the most volume at the top and the bottom of the chart as the counter trend force steps in and tries to reverse the trend. Again, I've lectured in this a million times. I probably talk about it almost every video, but I go over it in great detail in the Masterclass webinar. We're coming up in 20 minutes. I'm not going to be able to get to all these questions. Maybe I'll try to do a couple requests for fun. Let me see a couple good chart requests in the chat. Let's see. VeChain. Okay, what is this? VeChain. What is it? Ven, right? Or Vet? VeChain. Okay, yeah, it's Vet. So I thought. I don't necessarily know the names of these. These aren't, like, for me, these aren't projects. These aren't even anything real. These are just, for me, these are just vehicles for speculation and trading. All right. I haven't looked at Vet in a while. This is kind of a choppy daily sideways range. When you see that, you want to step out to the weekly to put things into context. It's a decent overall weekly trend. You can pretty much visually just see an important delineator, really like of where you want to see the price hold, right? That's your big pivot. And then you say, okay, I've reset that. I've got that. Let me step in a little bit closer. I've got higher lows. I've got higher lows. I want to see that hold. And then ideally, you want to see bulls flip this maybe into the next higher low level. So that would be a target just around 0.35. In the meantime, we can zoom in again on the daily chart. We're noticing bulls are trying to hold even higher. Bulls have stepped in and defended that 0.4 level. And it's consolidating essentially after breaking. This is here, a nice break of a descending supply trend break, lower high break, right? 2-level filter, you see that, right? Nice follow through on that. Let's see. I'll do one or two more. What do you think about Litecoin? It's been a frustrating one for sure, but it clearly is out of the range. Needs to hold above 100, 105 roughly, and it has been doing that. So that is good. It's been weak to Bitcoin. It's been weak to pretty much everything else. It's been a frustrating chart, but it's slowly grinding higher. Here in the weekly chart, you can see how critical it's going to be for the price to hold above 100. I mean, that's pretty much it. There's way better stuff. I'm not really trading it. It's a super choppy range. You do have a local breakout level developing that you want to observe. And you could potentially trigger long in a break of 140. I think that's quite reasonable. All right, folks, this is a great chat. I love hanging out with you folks. I'm going to be back again tomorrow. If I didn't get your message or I didn't read your message, I'm sorry. It's just me. It's already been 20 minutes. These are quick market updates, part of the series on YouTube at Cheds Trading. I teach professional technical analysis, Japanese candlestick theory, classical charting. I've published 3 books. I have the 4th book along the way. Actually, I wanted to touch base on one more thing here. This is something to keep in mind, and I'm doing a lot of emotional management. It's from Trading Journal. Are you uncomfortable or scared? You really want to pay attention to your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions as you're entering trades, right? So it's like if you enter a trade and you're immediately feeling uneasy, that's a big red flag, and you need to think about that. You need to kind of dissect that and figure out, why am I feeling this way? Is it that I haven't prepared enough? Do I have too much money in play? You need to be aware of that. And if you feel that, I just get out of the trade. Come back in with a smaller position, come back in with a better plan, a plan you know you can execute. You have to have confidence in your ability to manage the position. If your stop loss triggers, get out. If you get chopped around, maybe even reinitiate the trade if the idea is revalidated. But you have to start to train yourself. This is a really important one. If you're scared, you either lack conviction or a plan, and exit the trade and re-enter only once you have both firmly in hand. I love that. So I'm having a lot of fun doing the emotional management. This is going to be my 4th book, Trading Journal. Check out the long interviews. I have a new interview coming out at some point. A couple new interviews. Check out the Masterclass tutorials. These are fun. These are quick. If you want a full market in-depth report, Bitcoin Live. And by the way, when you sign up, you get access to the entire team's content. I've been doing this for 7 years. Wednesday, Sunday night, I do a full report. I haven't missed a report in over 6 years. Even when I'm traveling, I'm on vacation, I'm really dedicated. And I love our team. I love our members. So consider checking that out. And there's some free reports floating around. You can see what we do. So folks, thank you. Thank you for hanging out. Be kind to yourself. Be patient. Put in work. Look, if you're not studying hard and you're not working, it's not going to work. It's not going to do well. So you need to keep grinding, keep pushing, and you're going to get better results if you work hard. So thank you for hanging out with me, and I will be back soon. Hit that like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, and have a great time. I'll talk to you soon. Big Cheds out. Take care, everybody.